this computer. Okay, and then I have remembered to switch on the recording, Ariana.
Yeah.
So good morning, good afternoon, greetings from sunny Turin, dear colleagues. A warm welcome to all of you to this webinar series focused on formalization and of the informal economy and learning lessons from BRICS and initiatives in the CIS countries. It is our absolute pleasure to have you all here today. I know some of you have been joining this call after having already had a series of calls. So thank you for making time, especially also to our colleagues in Brazil, one who has woken up really early, and on the other hand, from our colleagues in Beijing, who are almost finishing the day because it's 6 o'clock in Beijing now, and also to our colleagues in Moscow who are skipping lunch or have had an early lunch to be part of this call. We have a very interesting panel of 3 presenters today, and today's session is going to be moderated by my colleague Anita. But just before I pass on the floor to Anita, a quick few reminders, the usual, that this particular webinar is being interpreted into Chinese, into English, and into Russian. You can access the interpretations by clicking the appropriate channel at the bottom. Number 2, a gentle reminder to all of you that all the 3 channels are being recorded, and the recordings will be available on southsouthpoint.net as well as on the eCampus page of the Turin Center. A reminder to all of you also that we will be these 3 interventions today will be followed by group work. I will give you more instructions at that point in time when it is time for group work, when Anita will pass the floor back to me. But a small apology for the issue that we had during the last webinar in relation to the breakout rooms. It was an issue of updating our Zoom license, which we have now done. And today, in fact, we will be offering you the control and power to choose the room that you want to go to. As always, the rooms will be, the breakout rooms will be on the basis of language. So there will be 3 breakout rooms: Russian, Chinese, and English. And what will happen inside the breakout room, I will explain later. So wishing you all a warm welcome once again, and to this webinar 5 of the BRICS CIS webinar series on transition to formality. We are going to refer to learn about China and Brazil perspectives today, and what lessons can be learned and shared with CIS and BRICS countries. It is my absolute pleasure to invite Anita Amorim, my colleague from the Partnership and Development Department and Head of Emerging Partnerships in ILO Geneva Turin. Anita, over to you.
Thank you so much, Snehal. It's always a pleasure to be speaking together with you and with all the colleagues here in the BRICS Knowledge Series. As you mentioned, we just came back, some of us that are dealing with China as an emerging partner, including myself and Yutong Yu, from a signature, a very important signature of an amendment of the agreement of China with the ILO on South-South and Triangular cooperation and skills development, also with the view to formalizing the informal economy in ASEAN. So it has a lot to do with the seminar today, because there's also cooperation between ASEAN and BRICS. So I think it's very interesting. And of course, this can spill over to CIS. So the session today is mainly devoted to China, Brazil in the context of BRICS. But of course, as you mentioned, it does not mean that the other regions should not participate actively. CIS members and also colleagues from Russia and South Africa. So all very welcome to intervene. but we have a little spotlight on China and Brazil. And there was an interesting coincidence, I would say, because of the question of the signature today. Of course, we're also interested in the whole question of how ISA in the BRICS Liaison Office was created. And what I will do now is that I'm going to introduce the three panelists all together, and then I'll give the floor one by one. So we have today with us Yukun Zhu, who is my colleague from the ILO, and he's in ISA. He's a veteran and social security expert and the main author of the ISA guidelines on administrative solutions for coverage extension, as well as coordinator of the ISA Technical Commission on Employment Policies and Unemployment Insurance. Before joining ISA, he served as director of the Bilateral Cooperation Division and the International Cooperation Department under the Chinese Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security. So today we were with many of your colleagues because we had the Ministry of Social Security in this signature agreement. And right now he is working in ISA, and he will also mention a little bit about he's also liaison officer for the BRICS ILO ISA Virtual Liaison Office, which we're very curious because I think one of the things that attracted us in this BRICS knowledge series and the BRICS CIS dialogue as well is how this BRICS Liaison Office works and what can we do to strengthen it, empower it, and give it more visibility. The second panelist would be Yutong Liu, my colleague as well, who was with me in the Farmer event. He's currently serves as coordinator of the ILO China project that just had this extension of additional $1 million and then also a couple of years more. And it's aims at improving the employability of workers through better quality employment in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and also ASEAN now. He has been implementing projects through South-South cooperation with BRICS and ASEAN. He was also working in Morse before, so we have two colleagues that had this experience, and he's been very supportive and was very active in the Committee of Effective ILO Development Cooperation in support of the Sustainable Development Goals during ILC 2018. So that was a very important work that he did, and including within the plan of action and roadmap, there is a clear reference to the importance of South-South cooperation. This was reaffirmed now in March through the governing body implementation plan, which has very specific targets on South-South cooperation. One of them is exactly the type of knowledge series we're doing now, because the whole idea is that, you know, through this kind of series, we can exchange. And the third colleague and friend as well is João Bosco Monte from Brazil. So he woke up a little bit earlier than us. So thank you so much for that. And he's founder and current president of Brazil Africa Institutes. He holds a PhD in education from Federal University of Ceará and postdoctoral studies from UNB, University of Brasilia. He's very active in the international fora, has been cooperating with the ILO in the past 5 years at least. He has been to some of the global South-South expos together with us. And he is also part of he was a Brazilian delegate to the Academic Forum of BRICS. So also his knowledge in terms of the Brazil relation with South-South, but also are two things which are interesting in particular today. So now, without much ado, I'll give the floor to my colleague Yukun Zhu from ISA, also our BRICS liaison officer. So over to you, Yukun.
Dear colleagues and friends, it's indeed a great pleasure to brief you on the hot topic of coverage extension to the missing middle, which has become increasingly important in the context of COVID-19 epidemic. Well, by coincidence, Brazil happened to be the first winner of ISA award for outstanding achievement in social security, launched in 2013, and China the second in 2016. The third went to Rwanda in 2019. Next slide, please. Here is an overview of what I will cover briefly today. Next, please. ESA is 8 years younger than the ILO, and it was founded under the auspices of ILO, as most of our members are social security administrations. Our mandate is to promote excellence in the administration of social security schemes. That's to say, our focus is on implementation and administrative side. We have 13 technical commissions serving as our technical arm, and we produce various administrative guidelines serving as professional standards for our member institutions. Currently, we are in the process of upgrading a few guidelines, including the guidelines on administrative solutions to coverage extension, for which I was the main author, but now we are recruiting an external expert for help. And also the guidelines on promoting sustainable employment. A technical report on coverage extension to the missing middle is also to be published soon. Next, please. Here's a glimpse of ESA's 13 technical commissions, covering not only social security branches, but also those financing and management areas. Next, please. Here's a glimpse of 13 ESA guidelines we have produced, which cover different areas such as governance, communication, ICT, investment, collection of contributions, and service quality. Next, please. While social security is a human right and SDG 2030 calls for universal social protection, the right to social security remains a distant dream for more than half of the global population. Worldwide, only 1 out of 5 unemployed people can receive unemployment cash benefit, for instance. Next, please. Here are the 3 aspects of coverage extension, including the increase in the number of people covered under existing schemes, in the branches or benefits covered, as well as in the level of benefits. Next, please. Here are the 6 key principles for coverage extension advocated by the ILO. I will not go into details. Next, please. Well, the missing middle here refers to the so-called working poor in the informal economy, workers in the informal economy who are neither formal enough to qualify for contributory social insurance schemes, nor poor enough to enjoy any social assistance benefits. The scope may vary as per national context. Next, please. As the lack of employment-based social protection is the defining feature of informal employment, coverage extension to the missing middle plays an extremely important role in the transition to formal employment. Next, please. Let's now have a quick scan of some challenges and responses. Here, the challenge is legal exclusion of informal workers and lack of enabling environment. Among the most important responses include political will and financial commitments, as well as an adequate mid and long-term national coverage extension strategy. Next, please. To ensure effective enrollment, in China, for instance, the government has introduced 5-in-1 integrated registration by combining social insurance registration with others covering business license, tax registration, organizational coding, and statistical registration. The total processing time for such registrations reduced from 15 days to 2 days. It also links the issuance and renewal of business licenses and work safety permit to social insurance affiliation and compliance. Brazil and Uruguay, for instance, have introduced integrated and simplified collection of tax and social insurance contributions for small contributors. Next, please. Here are some responses to frequent change of job and place of work. I will not explain one by one. So next, please. Here are some responses to the low and fluctuating contributory capacity of workers, including some dovetailed adjustment in contributory basis, rates, as well as frequency of payment and so on. So next, please. Here are some responses to inadequate administrative capacity of social security institutions. Well, including this mobile offices, establishing adequate ICT capacity, etc. Next, please. For coverage extension to the missing middle, there are 6 key enablers listed here. Next, please. So the concluding message is that coverage extension is achievable at different stages of economic development, including countries like Rwanda, where the per capita GDP is much lower than most countries. The 3 core elements are political will coupled with financial commitments, dovetailed program design, and institutional capacity and excellence in social security administration. Well, as I have mentioned on many occasions with our guidelines on administrative solutions for coverage extension, we have not only what to do in terms of some principles, but also how to do in terms of the specific mechanisms. And we also have a database on coverage extension or good practice databases. Last but not least, I would like to reiterate that ESA stands ready to join ILO to organize some tailored coverage extension events via BRICS Virtual Liaison Office under the BRICS Social Security Framework. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much. This is a very interesting undertaking. As I had mentioned earlier, we're all wanting to continue to collaborate with the BRICS Liaison Office and give it visibility. Also, it's very clear from the BRICS LEM declaration, the linkage between formalization of the informal employment and social security coverage. And this was also explicitly mentioned in the ministerial declaration. So that is also a great thing, Mr. Yukunzu. So now I have the pleasure to give the floor to Yutong Liu, which I have already introduced and given his title and background. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. I know you're hopping meetings and we were this morning in this very important meeting. So over to you, Yutong Liu, to talk a bit about your project and how that leads to South-South cooperation and perspectives for it to expand maybe to BRICS. Over.
Thank you, very respected moderator, who actually gave a great efforts in preparing the MOU review between the ILO and the development partner of the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security in China. And it happens that a couple hours ago, the DG and also the development partner, they put their signature to another SSTC amendment agreement to affirm further progress in terms of South-South and triangular cooperation. So this, it just happens. It happens for huge efforts from PADAP, especially from Anita colleagues in Geneva. I also remember some questions she put to us. How do we apply SSTC to the common topic such as informality? So I want to center my presentation around a practical approach, practical SSTC approach in our ILO implementation of projects. Yeah, I hope you already see my PPT. So I will go very quickly. You see the objective and also the significant results that have been set. These things are all around South-South and triangular cooperation. We are focused on skills development. That's the technical contents of the project. We also focus on active employment programs because skills and employment programs, they are interlinked. We want to make sure employability doesn't stop only with skills training. We want to see employment opportunities can materialize for our trainees. The third thing is institutional capacity development through SSTC. Especially we have a special design in this project. That is, we want to set up technical and vocational educational training network under ASEAN TVET Council initiative. This institutional capacity building program will be actually featuring South-South and triangular cooperation. We want to engage TVET institutions all over. The third element I put here is the ILO and its development partner, MOS. We want to also incorporate other programs with ASEAN Fund. Last year, there was a huge support from Anita. Now, our project proposal for another sub-project is already in the pipeline of ASEAN Secretariat. So I will go through this practical arrangement so you can see the perspective for South-South cooperation and also from ILO in its regional office. First, we do the need is to follow the South-South principle. So you can see the project respect the mutual beneficial of South-South cooperation. So after that, we support key events in the stakeholder countries in Cambodia, in Laos PDR, in Myanmar, in ASEAN countries. So we support their law and regulatory system development. Now we organize some law advice workshops. There are more coming. Even in difficult times of pandemic, we are also supporting the stakeholders to work on regulatory framework. This is another example. It's about employment promotion law. We also focus on the standard system. This is about the skill standard. So it's not only about formulation of skill standards, it's also to translate these standards into the training manual to do a TOT, training of trainers. This is very well received by the stakeholder countries. So what they want is what the project implement. This is another example. We try to spread these training manuals to all the provinces in these countries. We also follow this mutual, discussion, mutual dialogue principle of South-South cooperation. So we hold a regular advisory committee meeting, or project steering committee meeting. We also support the country to do a skills survey. Well, there was ILO support 5 years ago in these countries. However, these countries could not sustain. So this SSTC project identified this particular need from these countries. So we try to support them to do the skills needs survey. This is very important, especially in time of the pandemic. So this is not only a survey, and after we publish the survey report, this report is available on the project SSTC website. We also organize workshop to disseminate the findings, the vacancies information to the industries and also to job seekers. This slide shows another focus. This is labor market information system support. Currently, we are supporting the engineers in ASEAN countries to develop a mobile app. This is particularly useful for these countries. So in time of the pandemic, job seekers, they can use this very friendly interface to look for jobs. And employers can post their job vacancy information to job seekers. This way, SSTC project can benefit job seekers by hundreds of thousands in these countries. In particular, there is a high need of labor migration in ASEAN countries. So we want to develop this software to the countries so they can apply. Also, in this package, there is a virtual job fair software. So it can also be another good instrument. This is at the insight from Schneha, ITC of the ILO, who once organized a job fair, virtual job fair, knowledge sharing series for us. It was last year together with Anita. So we try to pick up this good idea from Anita, from Schneha. So we want to make sure ASEAN countries can avail this kind of instrument for their job services. This is another initiative. We initiated, profiling of job seekers in the country, in these countries. This is particularly useful for them. So they can provide employment services to people who are unemployed. Now, these countries in ASEAN region, they are trying to apply this kind of profiling work to support people who receive unemployment benefits to get jobs, to be able to get re-employment. This is another, this slide shows another activity we promote. We try to promote, this is a global initiative from the skills employment department of the HQ of ILO. We pick up these activities. We try to implement these kind of activities in Cambodia, in Laos, and also in Myanmar. So this is basically to engage with TVET institutions. We reward them with their methodologies. These methodologies are especially needed because they need to adopt a blended training methodology, meaning students can come to schools to learn theories, can also learn theories at home. So it will be a combination of online and offline modalities. So we want to engage with TVETs to promote also digital skills. And another side of the coin is the digitalization of TVET institutions. This is another initiative. This is the Cambodian Labor Minister we support the ministry to do their promotion of TVET. So in each year there is the TVET Day. So we support them this June to get more enrollment to TVET, to skills training. A big number of participants and viewers in the country. This slide shows we support a quality apprenticeship program. This year, ILO has its key topic on apprenticeship, and ILO is also setting its work on apprenticeship standard. So this will be helpful for these countries to contribute to global initiative and also to apply apprenticeship, give way of good employment opportunities to their trainees. We are going to continue this through our skills network. I want to particularly talk to you about this skills development network through South-South cooperation. With Anita's support, this also goes on to the fact sheet of the China development page. So this network takes advantage of the ILO expertise on skills development. It also features South-South cooperation. This network was very popular, was actually, it received support from ASEAN countries. So, sorry, I made a wrong typo there. The launch was inaugurated in this month, so 2021. It was supported by this SSTC project. A total, now we have a total of 22 TVET institutions as the members of this network. So this network tries to answer Anita's question. How can SSTC be helpful for ASEAN? ASEAN has the TVET Council initiative. It was announced by ASEAN leaders this year, and now ASEAN is trying to produce its work plan. So for this ILO project, for this SSTC project, we coordinated with ASEAN Secretariat. We work out this institutes network. This network will be working on exchange of training curriculum, promoting apprenticeship program, and also to organize exchange programs of teachers and also trainees between these countries. So this is really a good time for me to sell this product. I want all the participants today to be in touch with us. We certainly welcome your participation to join force with us to this network. In the following pages will be the members. These are all the members. This is from Lao. This is all the top TVET training institutions in these countries. This is the Lao Women's Training Center. So it's particularly important. From Basapong, from Vientiane Training Institution, this is for trainers. This is NGO Training Center from Myanmar. This is a training institution from Hangzhou, from China. This is another institution from Dongguan City. These are the activities in these training institutions. This is a training institution from Yunnan, another from Yunnan. This is from Baoshan Technician School. This is from Guangzhou School, Jiangsu School, Wuxi Training TVET, Hainan TVET, Guangxi TVET activities, and also training snapshots. So you see, these are all the training schools. So SSTC doesn't stop on the concept. It's becoming a lasting mechanism with ASEAN. So we have further onward activities, like I mentioned, the mobile app for job services and also virtual career fair. The project is also supporting a TOT, a training of trainers. We also set up the network in response to ASEAN TVET Council initiative. We also support quality apprenticeship in these countries. We also support the countries, the tripartite constituents. They all organize job fairs. We support skill training for pre-employment. We also conduct a 5-year skill anticipation study in these countries. We develop training manual. We support them to organize RPL, prior recognition of prior learning. We also support the skills assessment and certification. The project is trying to support some special sectors, including tourism, because tourism sector is very much hit by the pandemic. So prior training would prepare the workers in this sector. We also support their skill sector skill council in the country. We support knowledge sharing. This is why this project is very motivated to participate in BRICS webinars of knowledge sharing series. Very actually briefly, we want to share with you our activities and also our answer to how to apply SSTC in the ASEAN, in the Asia region. With that, I turn over the floor to you, Anita.
Thank you, Yutong. Such a pleasure to listen from you, because today, actually, in principle, you were supposed to be a commentator, but they changed the scenario and there were no comments. So you are actually the one who was supposed to deserve to have the limelight, but now you have it. So at least for our BRICS Knowledge series, it's a pleasure to hear all these fantastic skills development series that are developed under your project, under your leadership, and also with some links to us, because we had this BRICS Knowledge series, we had the VFair that also organized by Sneha's team. So lots of things happening. And we thank all your support. It's really, really timely. Now I have the pleasure to give the floor to my friend João Bosco, that will have to speak in English. Today we do not have, you have a great English, is not to say that, but if we had Portuguese, we would be happy as well. But this time, because of the time difference, we did not have Portuguese translation, because not that many Brazilians wanted to wake up at 6 a.m. like you. But we like to thank you very much. The Brazil Africa Institute is a great friend of the ILO and of the UN system and of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. So over to you for some South-South perspectives and how you can think your work and link up to the BRICS CIS dialogue. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Anita. Greetings from Brazil. It's a pleasure to be once again in this great job that Anita and her team is doing, trying to bring good experiences from all over the world and sharing experience. For me, it's a way that we can combine our efforts and bring in results. I'm a professor of international relations in Brazil, and now I have the privilege to work at the Brazil Africa Institute. And we have some activities in Brazil, in some African countries, but I understand as the world is so close now, and we can see experiences from Brazil that can be implemented or customized into other countries. I just received the two previous speakers with so excitation, because I understand the experiences that the two speakers presented could be, Anita, deployed in the Brazilian context as well. So this is the beauty of being in a so great event. Looking to the Brazilian experience, I will try to give in 5 or 10 minutes some ideas and how I see the importance of formalization of informal economy in Brazil precisely. And I will try to give some examples as well in some African context, maybe in South Africa as well. But I want to start with a very sad information, which is the high unemployment rate in Brazil, which is a dramatic moment that we face. Brazil has around 14% employment rate, which is a very big number. Brazil has 200 million people, the population of Brazil. If we say 14% of this population is a very huge number. So the government of Brazil should give evidences that the unemployment rate could be reduced. So how it could be possible? And I understand the government should give incentives to companies to give spaces, to open spaces for people to have a job and decent jobs. And there is one particular part of the population which is suffering too much, which is the young population. The youth in Brazil needs to have a job, a formal job for them to start their career, their lives. I look to my kids. How do you emphasize, how do you give to your kids the possibility to start their lives as workers? You should drive them, you should guide them. And the government should give should work with the companies, the private sector, in a very precise and direct way in order to facilitate the first job for young people. And I remember in 2003, when the government of Brazil, when President Lula came to power, it was the beginning of a project called First Job Program. It was a unique platform to give to young people the possibility to start to work. And there is something that is happening now, which is something very bad. We give to young people the idea that they can start their own job, their own companies, entrepreneurs, which is good. It's good in one side, but in another direction, it's very bad for the economy, because the kids or the young professionals, they don't have what is very important for this equation, which is the financial part of this platform. If you want to start a job, you have to have a possibility to have funding for you to start your business. And this particular issue, I understand the financial institutions plays an important role, which is given to people, especially young people, financial support for them to start the business or the job, right? The first job. If we do not have this part of the equation precisely, we'll have a problem for them to continue their work. And then this is the chicken, the egg history, right? So if you don't give them the opportunity to start in a very correct and direct way, they will not be able to continue their jobs. And that is something else. I don't want to be apocalyptical when I give this perspective. I just want to be precise as much as possible. And we need to give space for good jobs, and the commitment of the private sector, it's crucial. Also, there is something else that we do at the Brazil Africa Institute, which is skills empowerment, especially for young people and women. We have a program that we call Youth Technical Training Program. And I'm very sure that if we empower young people and women, we will have a different scenario for Brazil and for Africa as well, which is my space of work. And we have some activities that we do with some African countries, bringing them to Brazil to receive technical training, and then they can deploy when they are back to their countries. And we started this in 2017, and so far we had already the participation in more than 300 people. Of course, because of the pandemic, we need to move, and then came another orientation, which is the virtual platform. Last year, we learned that we could give technical training for people using the virtual platform. And it's very good for us when we see the results, that after 1 year and a half of this technical training, people are now able to have their jobs. I mean, they can be self-employed, but also they can work in the context of the market, which is good for us, looking to the possibility to emphasize and to enlarge the number of people that receive the technical training. There is something else that I'd like to emphasize, which is the new trends, and I will finish my first participation in this seminar, and then we can go to the Q&A moment. But there is something very important, which is the new trends, and we have the industries that can be the space that the young people, but also not so young people can work. We have the services, but there is something very special, which is the agribusiness. In a space like Brazil, in a big country as Brazil, we have a space for the agribusiness industry and agribusiness services. And this is something that we have to work very precisely. And the work between the private sector, the government, and also the civil society, it's very important, Anita, for us to open new spaces for new jobs. The new generation that we have in front of us needs to have the possibility to work and to have a job that they will be able to have a good life. And I understand, if we do not give people the possibility to be happy where they are working, they won't be very precisely working and bring results for what we expect for them to do. So I'll stop now, and I understand we can come back for the Q&A moment. Thanks, Anita.
Thanks, João. Thanks also to the other speakers, Yutong and Yukon. Maybe they can put back their cameras, because I'm going to now ask people to ask questions. And so it will be good to see you. Fantastic. Also for the picture purposes. So nice to have you all here. I think these are all very complementary. The Brazilian Chinese perspectives were very complementary, and we also have the BRICS perspective that was mentioned by Yukon. So I wonder if some of the speakers will have questions, especially maybe from the other regions. Also ILO colleagues, I see Gotcha is here, Julia, Karina, Duncan. I mean, you're also welcome, but also the social partners and partners from the other regions, from CIS. Anybody is free to ask a question. If not, we do have opportunities for more intense work, because we're going to go to group work. But before that, I wanted to see, I don't see any hands up, but if I wanted to see if somebody has some comment or question. Sneho, you also have the right, don't you?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But I would rather that if there are any questions from the group. I also understand, by the way, that this is the almost the end of the year, but also I think more importantly, what I just want to acknowledge the fact that we have the ILC going on. So clearly some of our participants have chosen to prioritize the ILC over our webinar, and I don't blame them. But maybe I have a question, though. Maybe I can use this opportunity to ask Yutong, even though I know the excellent work that they have done. Yutong, maybe as part of your project, if you could tell us how you are making special efforts to include and link the skilling process to the informal sector, that would be, I think, interesting for participants to hear. Maybe one or two concrete steps you are taking already to as part of the project in any of the project countries. I already know the answer because we have had this conversation before, but I just thought it might be something that would be helpful for participants. So Yutong, how does the skilling take into account the informal sector?
Thank you, Fred. Allow me to follow suit. Actually, you do know the answer. Last year, you and Anita co-sponsored the virtual job fair webinar. So that gave us some idea. Then we were trying to duplicate this good experience. One thing is we are now supporting the countries to develop their job apps, not only job apps, and also the virtual job fair. These countries now are ready to, now we are doing the programming. We have a consulting company supporting us. Then this software package will be available for these countries. So this is one. Another is the training to migrant workers, because in ASEAN region, there is a big number of labor migrant workers. Then there are a lot of job services. So one thing these countries need to do will be a training of their trainers. So we are trying to provide TOT so that these trainers can make sure they can support people in the informal sectors. Because for informal sector workers, they switch jobs very often. So this is very in need for them. This is something we need to do. And also there is another instrument that will be a short-term training. Unlike say a half-year training, many informal workers, they cannot afford. So we support the tripartite constituents to organize 3 days, 1 week training in these countries. Over to you, Sneha.
Thank you so much.
Maybe I'll jump in, Sneha, with a question for you, Kun. I was wondering if, in terms of the BRICS liaison office, is there a possibility of expansion, for example, beyond Social Security? Because I think the idea of having a liaison office, a virtual liaison office, is very good, is very attractive to us. And then a small question to João Bosco is, how would you, envisage a stronger cooperation with BRICS in the world of work matters, now that you are usual friend of the ILO? Over to both of you.
Well, talking about the possibility of expansion of BRICS virtual liaison office from social security to other areas, or maybe even to countries beyond. I think this is more or less kind of political decision to be made really via the BRICS ministerial meeting, I mean labor and employment ministerial meeting. We simply implement their decisions. I mean, as you know, this virtual liaison office is for Social Security Cooperation is really sponsored jointly by both ILO and the ISA, and they more or less managed to implement the decisions made by the ministers in terms of the Social Security Cooperation framework. That's all I can say. I'm sorry, so we simply implement.
That's a very diplomatic answer, but it will be on your case to have even increased work together. João Bosco.
Yeah, I think, Anita, what we are doing now, it's a great opportunity for us to understand what we are doing. When I know what Yutong is doing, what I understand that Yutong is doing, it's important for me to understand what synergies we can bring to the table. And I understand, I think I'll bring more job for you, Anita, right? Because I understand ILO plays a very crucial role and trying to facilitate this engagement. And I think you can lead us in terms of engaging us and putting us together more and more, and we can bring experiences from the countries where we are located, from China, from Brazil, from other BRICS countries, right? And then we can deploy the good experience but of course we need to respect the individuality of each country. I understand what we do in Brazil cannot only be unplugged in Brazil and be plugged in China. We need to see what kind of customized project experience we can bring from one country to another country. And I understand that kind of initiative that you are promoting, bringing us from different perspectives to the same discussion will bring to countries, but also for its population, possibility to have good experiences being deployed in the countries. So you have more job now, Anita.
Thank you, João. Thanks, Yukun, and thanks, Yutan, for this segment. And I'm sure I will be happy to take on more work as long as Snehal G is with me. Because we have a great alliance with the ITC ILO, and also, of course, now ILO Beijing, ILO Bangkok, ILO Brasilia, ILO Pretoria, ILO Moscow. So, I mean, the ILO New Delhi. So, I mean, and all this involves also Lima and the other offices. So it's very interesting about this South-South triangular cooperation in BRICS and CIS is that it really brings some kind of horizontal cooperation within the ILO. It obliges us to also break some silos and cooperate with the country offices, but also with the regions. So, João, we will take up this challenge. So now I'm going to give the floor back to Snehal, who will be, by the way, Snehal, I think that, 43 people during IOC is a major success. Yeah. In one of the events during the IOC times, there was 10 people left in the Zoom because of the competing IOC. So I would not see this as a problem. That means we're around 35 plus participants and the interpreters. It's really a great success in the IOC times because, of course, our social partners have to attend the meetings. In any case, over to you, Snehal, for the moderation of the exercise, where I think you and Duncan will explain.
Yes, yes. So, great. Thank you, Anita. And I'm just, it is indeed a good success, but I'm also aware that the ILO Delhi office is in their virtual retreat today. So this is also one of the reasons that we see there are not many people here. For sure, I am moving us forward. I just quickly want to explain a couple of things on how we are going to do the group work. What is going to happen next is that I will first ask my dear colleague Duncan Chando, who is part of the organizing team. Duncan, I will come to you briefly, requesting you to please take us through the 6 recommendations and the inputs that we have so far in English, using the English slides, if that's okay. Subsequent to that, my colleague Ariana, who has already created 3 breakout rooms, which are language specific. So there is a breakout room for Russian, there is breakout room for Chinese, there is breakout room for English. You will choose yourself. So there will be a window that will appear on your screen. You will be required to choose the breakout room of your choice. Once again, this will be based on language. So the discussion that we will have in each of the rooms will be same, but will be language specific. In each of the rooms, you are going to look at the 6 recommendations. Anita has posted the Google Slides available multiple times in the chat box, which you will therefore then go and look at those slides. And the ask is very, very simple. For this, there are 6 recommendations which come from the work that has previously happened in the project focused on CIS countries looking at formalization. there are recommendations coming from the BRICS formalization series that took place in August this year. And there are, for each of those recommendation points over the past 4 webinars, inputs provided by many of you on actioning those recommendations. So the ask today is very, very simple. You look at the 6 recommendations, action points under each of those recommendations, and as a group, add 1 action point to the already existing list. Is that clear? I repeat, in each of the, you will have 6 recommendations that are available as per the slides that are available on Google Slides, Google shared slides. There are 6 recommendations. I will ask Duncan to read out in plenary all the 6 recommendations and the inputs of action points to make the recommendations actionable. And then we will break out in groups for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, where you will add 1 action point for each of the 6 recommendations in your group. You will have some of us in each of those groups, so you will be able to therefore then, and the groups are again, each of the 6 action recommendations are in your language of preference. So each group, according to their language, will have inputs. Please choose one reporter who will come back after the 15 minutes to the plenary to identify just the additional comment that you have, the additional action point that you have identified to the 6 recommendations. I stop here. The next one is Duncan. May I request you, Duncan, to please take us through the status as of now for the 6 recommendations. If you want to share the screen, that is fine. Otherwise, I'm happy to share it for you. Over to you.
Maybe you can share on your side, because I also have the screen over here.
No problem. I will share it with you in a second. Duncan, let me scroll up. Let me find the Google Slides here that Anita has sent, are here, coming up in a second. Yes, tell me.
Yeah, it's just above the Russian one.
Yeah. I'm sharing them right now. And yes, Ariana, I will tell you when to open the rooms. Ariana is on standby. She has just confirmed to me separately that she has the rooms ready to go. Do not open them yet, Ariana. I will tell you, I will call you out by name, asking you to open, and till then, please be on standby. Thank you, Ariana. You can all see my screen, and you can also see Ariana chatting with me. So Ariana, you might not want to chat with me unless you want to see everyone chat, to see your messages. Duncan, you can see my screen now. Yes. I am going to the first one, and I request you to tell us what the recommendation is and take us through the action points. Over to you, Duncan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So, like Sneha indicated, that there are 6 recommendations that were identified. And number 1 is we're looking at building on the existing academic capacity on the BRICS and CIS institution, and encourage them to explore issues on informal economy. And some of the action points that already have been mentioned here is allocating public funds for at least 3 years for research. There's the aspect of setting up BRICS and CIS states interdisciplinary issues around health, issues around social security, issues around economic and partnership. And then the other action point is setting up a partnership between academic institutions, between BRICS and CIS, so that they can work together. Next is to facilitate regular exchange. At least now we're doing more virtual exchange. Next, please. The other area is the whole support around the MOOC on informal economy to strengthen knowledge exchange again in the spirit of South-South and triangular cooperation. So that again will strengthen the knowledge exchange. And again, BRICS research groups can have a strong role. For example, formalization, the issue of digitalization that again, we see even in different BRICS countries. If you look at China, if you look at Brazil, Russia and the rest, and then also working closely with the Ministry of Labor to support formalization policies that encourage incentive. I mean, the whole idea of incentivization, because most countries sometimes they use the carrot and stick aspect, but we need to provide more incentives so that people can go the formalization way, and also integrating South-South and triangular cooperation in the programs of different BRICS and CIS programs. And then lastly is BRICS CIS institutionalization of the relationship of this institution. The other recommendation, recommendation two, Sneha? Oh, there's a continuation. Okay.
There are a few points here, but I guess
okay.
You might want to run through them quickly.
Yes, yes. The other one is the extending the coverage of social security in all BRICS countries, extending the application of labor and social security, and also working closely with the Global Labor College, the GLU, in terms of research, and also supporting the regular reunion of think tanks from BRICS countries. Oh, next, please. When we look at recommendation 2, it's a bit blocked from the side.
You want to make it big?
Yes, no, it's fine now. It's fine. It's fine. So it's fine. So recommendation 2 looks at to extend and intensify the work with BRICS and CIS countries and other developing states on raising awareness and applying the provision of the ILO recommendation 204, which is the common recommendation that we all know in terms of formalization of the informal economy. And under this, we're looking at giving ILO mandate to reach out to movements in informal economy for cooperation. And the other one is developing training programs together with the informal economy. So that because with the training, again, we are looking at the capacity, the whole area of capacity building, launching training program for social partners. This is working closely with government departments, health system, finance, environment. So this again, the whole multi-stakeholder approach, and then working together with creative art actors for awareness raising. And a good example was given what happened in Uruguay. Next. When you're looking at recommendation number 3 is BRICS countries can help share data. I think this one was one of the things that really came out when we looked at, there was this, the research on CIS, it's not visible a bit, Sneha, maybe you move it, okay, there, okay, now it's okay. So when you look at recommendation number 3, BRICS countries can help share data on those who are in the informal sectors, but remain informal. Again, the whole issue of formalization of the informal workers and strengthening social security system. One of the key action points is strengthening the cooperation between CIS and BRICS social security system, and again, involving labor department and statistical department, so they work together. And then number 2 is BRICS countries can share experience of inclusive social dialogue. Number 3 is we're looking at BRICS countries can strengthen cooperation in regards to labor inspection. Again, there's a recommendation that I mean, if you look at the research that was done in terms of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, you will find this one was something that really came out. Recommendation number 4, we're looking at BRICS and CIS countries can help sharing research, data, knowledge, and networks on formalization and informal workers. So here, some of the key action point is sample survey on BRICS and CIS formalization. So you can look at how is formalization happening in both BRICS and CIS countries. And the number 2 is cooperation among research centers and institutions, both from BRICS and CIS, because we're looking at the whole issue of sharing data and research. And then if you can have there's a recommendation that there's an action point of having a one-stop hub for data collection, because with the data, then it can inform good policy recommendations. Recommendation number 5 is encouraging the networks of BRICS Labor Institute to analyze the care economy in the context of informal economy. And here, number one is we're looking at care economy as several facets and should be multidisciplinary. So we should not look at it with one lens, but it should be looked at in a more comprehensive way. And that is linked to number two there, which talks about comprehensive analysis of the care economy of CIS countries. And I think also this goes back with also BRICS countries. And gender aspect should be mainstreamed, because when you look at the care economy, we find that there's some gender disparity in the care economy, whereby most of the people affected that are women in this sector. And also number four is care economy and contribution to transition. Number five, the whole aspect of public-private partnership to increase potential for care economy. And number six is digital literacy and migrant labor rights. Recommendation number six, quickly, is BRICS CIS governments and social partners could commit to undertake review of what action each government could take to encourage and formalization in formal economy, again, under the COVID framework. So one of the key action points is continued support to workers and employers. This one can be done through the BRICS meeting. And also number two is continue supporting dialogue between tripartite partners, this is government, workers and employers, and also more inclusive approach on trade unions and employers organization. And also the fourth one is institutionalization of the CIS BRICS exchange. The continuation of recommendation 6 is to develop emergency response strategies to support workers during disruptive moments, such as COVID. No one really expected COVID going to be there, but if we can have an emergency strategy response, and then lastly, taking action to support the most vulnerable, including youth and also older workers. I think
Great.
that's the last one. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Duncan. You did an excellent job. This is great. So what we do, what happens next is basically, Ariana, this is the time when I am going to ask you to open the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are open. You will choose the breakout room that you would want to go to. Ariana, you might want to go back and create the room so that participants are able to choose the rooms. Here you will need to assign them, which might take a while. So you might want to close these rooms and come back and tick the option where participants are able to choose the room that they want to go to. Exactly. Now you have the option of choosing the room that you want to go to, colleagues. Please leave the room straight away. And while the rooms are closing, I come back to you just to remind you once again that the idea is, as you will see, and of the 6 recommendations, recommendation 1 has many action points, while recommendation 4 or 5 has few action points. So what you are required to do is to basically go through the recommendations in your language groups and add one action point for each of the 6 recommendations that you have, which is what you will need to do. So Ariana, tell us when you are ready. Okay, colleagues, can you confirm you are able to see the room that you want to go to? You should be able to see 3 rooms. So you should be able to choose the room that you want to join. Exactly. Duncan, thank you. I see you have already chosen the English room. I already see colleagues in Russia have chosen the Russian room. And I also see, for example, Mr. Liu has chosen the Chinese room. Julia has gone to the Russian room. Well done. Excellent. It is happening. Excellent. Thank you, Ariana. I stay here. People are choosing the rooms that they are going to go to. Excellent. Thank you. Not now. Anita, you have invited me to join the English room. I wait till everyone else is assigned. Not now. I see, are there unassigned colleagues? There are still unassigned colleagues. I don't know why I am taking the liberty to assigning them by name. Okay. Okay, fantastic.
And you take some time. So, I'm sorry.
No, no
Hi.
problem.
Hi, Anita. You invited me and I waited till everyone else was assigned to the right room. So may I just request you to go ahead and start moderating this session while I also
Yes,
flip
sure.
to other rooms to make sure that nobody's stuck, okay?
Okay.
Why are the
It
rooms being
says
closed?
that it says the rooms will close in 53 seconds. Why?
I don't know. I checked. No, but they are saying the
It says
rooms are
all
closing.
breakout rooms will close in 42 seconds. I hope that doesn't happen because I'm very happy to be in this room.
Yeah, yeah. No, we will.
Does that mean that it's closed for people to enter, or?
No. Let me just see.
Check with Ariana. Is she around?
Yeah, she's around.
Because it says 14 seconds, 13 seconds.
У нас был человек 14. Было, по-моему.
Michael?
Just checking. Please go ahead. Continue. I just want.
We are still waiting for some Russian-speaking participants. Seems that they did not come back again after, like Miss Razumova, for example.
Really?
She was there, but then we came back to the one space
room,
and
yeah, and then for some reason they are not. I see them signed in here. Okay, why don't you start, Julia, and then we will, because otherwise we'll lose time. And in the meanwhile, I will assign them. Okay?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Так, хорошо, коллеги, тогда я предлагаю, значит, пройтись по всем. Сейчас я прошу прощения. У меня тут звуки параллельных.
Something strange happened, but we're back together.
Yeah, we are back together. But
is everybody back together?
Yeah, Russian is full. I'm just coming from the Russian room. You just hang in there. I go to the Chinese room and check. Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, we can start. I think because
it's only you and Duncan though for some reason here.
It's just the two of us and you, because it's like Russian and Chinese. Everybody else, and João I think had to leave. So
okay.
I think it's normal.
Okay. I go to the Chinese room. Bye bye.
Bye.
那个你待会儿就到那个你就当 rapporteur 吧啊。
是我来介绍吧。
你就每那个6个领域啊，每一条你都点一下啊。
啊。
好啊。
Hi, Yutong, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yutong. I think we are going to use 10 minutes to go through the recommendations and make whatever additional points that you might. So if there are any additional points to the 6 recommendations, so I will go to the Russian room to make sure they are also following. Thank you.
Shinehao, we have a rapporteur in Mr. Wang Yonghui already.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure, sir. See you. Continue. I go to the English one.
Okay. Yonghui,
Okay.
Hi.
Then, hello. We're just taking advantage. It's just the three of us.
Yeah. So
did we lose João for good?
no, Zhao is not here he's not in the participant list anymore.
Ah, okay, so he's gone.
Possibly because I don't see him. Because you see, actually, Anita, you should also be able to see the rooms. If you click on the breakout rooms,
Yes.
theoretically, you should also be able to go to the Russian room. You should.
Yeah.
You should theoretically.
It appears Isabel Bueno and João Bosco, but they appear not green.
No, but they said not joined, which means that they are not anymore in the room. I mean, they're not anymore in the call. Excuse me.
Ah, they're not in the call. Okay. So
all the ones in the green are the ones that are in the call, in the Zoom call.
Okay. And then everybody else means that they left.
The gray ones are not. So, for example, Isabel is not in the call anymore.
Okay, so they joined, and then when we lost them, they decided
they decided to move for some reason.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I have just explained to both Julia, as they call her, Julia, and also to you, Tong, to spend 10 minutes to see if they can add one action point to each. I am sending a broadcast message to all rooms. Just to
I think in our group, we don't need to add anything. We have too many things in the English already, you know?
Yeah.
And you just have to look at them and see how to make it a little bit better. And also to, for example, it says extend the coverage of Social Security in all countries. And then it says extend the application of labor and Social Security regulation in each country. I think we can actually delete some recommendations.
Note recommendations, action points, you mean. Do not delete the recommendation.
Yeah, no, action points. Exactly. So I think the best would be that Duncan reports back. Duncan, what we do is select one recommendation that we consider key recommendation. So for example, the key action point. In recommendation 1, I think the recommendation 2 is very good, the action point 2, set up in BRICS and CIS interdisciplinary to identify research questions, impact, gradual formalization, etc. So I think this is an interesting point, no? The point 2.
Yeah, even point 3.
Isabel is back. Hello, Isabel, welcome back.
Yeah, so we can ask Isabel if she would have something to add. Isabel.
Yes, Anita.
Hello. Would you have something to add? Because we are all organizers, so we would rather have you. So if you have...
The choosing recommendations in number 2, right?
No, we have to go like one by one. So we have like one action plan per recommendation. So for example, in recommendation 1, we have all these ones that you're seeing here. And if you have something that you would like to add, or just say you would like to reinforce one that you heard. Would you have any recommendation?
Maybe for the number 2, I will have a kind of a industry cluster scope. What I mean is like when rises awareness for informality in some countries, I think it's necessary to first design a scope for which industry they want to work with first. For example, in the case of Angola, we have huge informality on agriculture sector.
So this for recommendation 2, right? On the expand and intensify the work of with BRICS and CIS on raising awareness of ILO 204. So your recommendation is to design the scope of the studies.
Yes, on history, in which industry they want to start to working with.
Okay. So that like the areas in the industries, etc., that would be relevant for this research.
Sorry, come again?
The areas and the themes for the research on the R204.
I think for agriculture, especially.
Okay. So basically, to have a clearer scope of research prior to expanding the network, something like that. Okay. And then maybe we can move to recommendation 3. It was BRICS countries can help share data on those who are in the formal sector but remain informal, monitoring the situation in BRICS countries. I know this is not very relevant for Angola, but maybe there's something that you could add from your perspective. Like the linkage with social security system. You are from Angola, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Você é lusófona, como eu.
Claro. So, well, I think it's all set here.
Yeah. So we don't need to add anything. I agree. So on the recommendation 4, BRICS and CIS countries can help sharing data, knowledge, and networks on formalization, as well as digital platforms, maybe with other countries, no? That's what we're missing. Because like if you are not in a BRICS country, you would like to learn from BRICS. O que você poderia dizer aqui no caso de Angola, por exemplo, sobre sharing data, networks?
Can you say that you are also seeing Anita, I'm just sending a Isabel, quick question, organizer to another organizer. So please excuse me for a minute. Anita, I have just sent out a broadcast message to everyone saying that we are going to close the rooms in 5 minutes. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Okay, let me go to the Russian and tell them. Okay, so you continue. Thanks, Isabel.
Okay, okay. 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Ну, на самом деле, абсолютно правильно, но мне кажется, что тут еще можно добавить, ну, это, конечно, такой, так сказать, мечта, что, чтобы был координатор по этому вопросу в этих институтах, потому что разные люди отвечают за разные направления, и не всегда они стыкуются, не всегда получается вот это общение. Вот по примеру БРИКС мы это видим, а если бы мы могли, так сказать, вообразить, что определен какой-то координатор вот этого именно процесса, то можно было уже через него работать с институтами.
Yulia, 5 minutes. Snehal here.
Okay.
We close in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to disturb you. Thank you.
条件比较差，那么别说行，知道了，去。
5 minutes, colleagues. 5 minutes. We close in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sneha.
5 minutes. Ciao.
所以就是我们对于非正规就业的认识，这个我觉得还是因为。
So then we move to recommendation 5. Encourage the network of BRICS labor institutes to analyze the care economy in the context of the informal economy, its role in the formalization process. So the care economy, Isabel, I don't know how we say in Portuguese, to tell the truth, but is this economy that we deal in, like, for example, domestic chores, household work, taking care of the elderly. And this is now more and more in terms of gender being recognized as a kind of important type of economy that is often not looked at. Dos cuidados, né? I don't know how we say that in Portuguese, but would you like to add something what was said here, or do you think that is enough?
It's like economia solidária, right?
Não, não exatamente economia solidária, porque economia solidária pode ser comunidades, é realmente o lado de cuidados, assim, com a pessoa, o trabalho doméstico, cuidar das pessoas idosas, esse tipo de coisa.
I think is in this perspective, I think everything is setting, or the most important things are setting here. You have a gender, you have a digital literacy, and immigrant labor rights. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here because it says care economy should be multidisciplinaries because it has all these aspects of, you know, health, work, social protection. So this is covered. The second point is the comprehensive analysis of care economy in CIS countries. I think BRICS CIS countries, no? But also, and other countries. Maybe a comparative analysis with other regions as well.
Mm-hmm.
With other sub-regions. And then gender aspects should be mainstream, gender stereotypes should be avoided. You know, like often all the domestic work is
it's only me, or we lost Anita?
I think, yeah, I think we lost. You're saying something?
No, Anita was saying actually was just follow her thoughts.
Anita? Maybe I think we lost her. Maybe her connection is not very good. But anyway, so we can go to recommendation. We can go to recommendation 5.
Closing in 1 minute, colleagues. Closing in 1 minute.
Okay. Wow. Recommendation 6. I don't know if you have anything to say under recommendation 6.
I was disconnected temporarily, so thanks for having picked up, Duncan.
Yeah, it's okay.
We were on the economy, no?
Yeah, we're almost closing actually. We only have 1 minute to go back to the plenary.
Here with us, I see. But we want all recommendations, no?
Yes,
Okay.
we're looking at recommendation 6, and we only have like 1 minute. I don't know if there's something you want to add on recommendation 6.
Maybe Ramiro, you want to add something on recommendation 6?
Not from my side.
I think it's time for us to leave the breakout room. In case for me, I think it's already complete. Huh? So Isabel, you want to read out the recommendations or Duncan?
Isabel, you can do it.
Yes, I can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe.
Which one should I read? All of them, or just
No, just the ones that you find best, the most important that we mentioned.
Just one. Yeah, one
Okay,
per each.
per item. Just total. You have the Google Drive, right, Isabel?
Sorry, come again?
You have the Google Drive, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So then you can read it. Perfect. Thanks, Duncan, for picking up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So now we can leave the breakout room, right?
Welcome back. It's always an adventure. Breakout rooms are always an adventure. I'm so glad that you're all back. I had the opportunity to visit each of the rooms, and I saw that there was conversation taking place in each of the rooms. I remind all of you once again that you might feel that the discussions were interrupted, and they were indeed interrupted because of the fact that the Google Drive and the slides are available for you to continue inputting. Do remember that these small team breakouts that we provide are just to make sure that you are able to connect with colleagues who speak your own language. Without much ado, I am going to, I know in each of the rooms you have had rapporteurs, and I'm going to invite my colleague from the Russian group to come and present. A reminder, we are almost out of time. Reminder to only read out the additional action points that you have made. Do not read through all the action points that were there, but only the additional points that you have provided inputs for. I fully recognize that you may not have had time or inputs for each of the 6 recommendations. So last time, please present only the additional input that you have been able to provide, the 10 or 12 minutes that you had. Over to you. Julia, are you the rapporteur? I hope you are not. We have always had you reporting, so I hope it's somebody else, but we still love to listen to you. So go ahead, Julia, over to you.
We should follow the traditions.
Indeed.
But if you don't mind, I will switch to Russian. So
do.
colleagues, I suggest to move to the interpretation channel. Yes. Да, коллеги, тогда я озвучу.
Dear colleagues, I will talk about 3 proposals because we focused on recommendations which we thought were not quite covered by action plans. So recommendation number 3, we had the proposal, harmonization of terminology, because in different countries we use different methods for calculations for determination of informal economy. Sometimes it is difficult to do any comparison and analysis. So we were speaking about harmonization of terminology used in documents of ILO, make public possible documents, do collect them between ILO and other organizations, do collect them on one unique platform. So people who are not professionals in statistics areas, but are responsible for decision making, to pass to formal economy from informal economy, so that they could have an easy access to documents, terminology, documentation. This could be used so on ILO platforms where countries do have possibility of exchanging their practices. Maybe we could collect actual documents on this area. Recommendation number 4. We have a new proposal regarding exchange of data between institutions of labor, BRICS and CIS countries. And if this could be possible, also determination of a coordinator in institutes of labor of every country regarding formalization of economy, so that to facilitate connections, communications among different labor institutions in other countries. So there should be a specific person responsible for this. And recommendation number 6, we have a proposal to decrease by countries decisions of countries, governments. So we need to facilitate barriers so that people could have a more easy passage to formal economy. This could be stimulated by easing some barriers also from points of view of bureaucratism. So this is all that I wanted to say. Maybe colleagues could add something to my words. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you so much. Indeed, we should follow traditions, and we always like to listen to you. Please don't mind. It's just because we want to make sure that ILO colleagues, like all of us, like myself, are not always taking the floor. So just to make sure. Thank you, Julia. Really appreciate. May I please move on to the Chinese group already being conscious of time, Yutong, I know you facilitated the Chinese group. I believe you already have a rapporteur who is going to provide inputs to the additional action plans only. Mr. Yongqi, I know it is you. You might want to unmute yourself, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
我来。
Okay, thank you.
大家好，非常高兴。
Good morning, everyone. I'm very glad to represent our discussion group.
关于6个建议当中的
Regarding the 6 recommendations, we have already read through, and we think they are very, very complete. So what we discussed is the following. I think in the first recommendation, we recommend to establish a specific fund for collective research on informal employment and informal economy. In this regard, I think much is still to be done. Like, we should ask ourselves, should informal employment exist or not? Should we keep it at 0%, or we can have a good range? So which is the right range of informal employment? We think we can have a more deepened study on informal economy and informal employment, as well as all the determinants and the resolutions. So we can have this kind of a theoretical study first, and later on go to the action. So BRICS countries as well as CIS countries, we can have this establish a fund to do this kind of research. To the second recommendation, we think that ILO in the recommendation 204 has done a lot of work. I highly appreciated all the achievements. So what we should do is to intensify our communication through other countries to make them acknowledge about the content of the recommendation 204. So we can do more on this regard. For the third recommendation, it is important to share data. I think we should establish a website for informal employment, publish our study results or webinar notices, as well as institutional reports. So we can have this platform reference to all the employees. For the fourth recommendation, like research data, research results, we hope that we can combine the latest results on informal economy and informal employment. We can publish them in a 3-month period. So every 3 months we can publish our latest papers or results. For the fifth recommendation, is about research and labor institution network. As far as I know, we have already a sort of this platform. It is already online, but we should be more precise on the topic or on the plan of study or research of each year, so that each institution can implement the plan every year. So this is important. to have a precise, a clear topic, a clear objective each year to carry out our research work among BRICS countries. And for the sixth recommendation, we think that it is an important aspect. We really hope to learn from best practices of other countries, and as well as social partners. So that's our discussion result. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yankui. Appreciate. Thank you. You did go through all the 6 recommendations. Super appreciate. Thank you, Yutong, as well. Last but not the least, the English group, Isabel. Since I was in the English group, I know, Isabel, you're going to be speaking. Just the additional points that were made. English already had a number of recommendations in point number 1. I'm conscious of time. Isabel, over to you for 2 minutes maximum.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to be quick. So I'm going to jump through the recommendation 2, where we had it a number 5 action plan. That's meaning design a scope of survey studying inherent themes in an industry that the government should prioritize in, such as agriculture for research. Basically, what we mean is like government should looking for all the issue among informality and choose a specific industry that want to address the first day transition from informality to formality. Oh, just a minute. I have. Thank you, Anita. So number 4, recommendation number 4, please. Okay. So we had one more in terms of country sharing research data, which we thought that should be important to have the CPLP, what is meaning Portuguese speakers countries, the BRICS and the CSI, and others sub-Saharan region groups such as SIDC, because we believe that sharing knowledge with the other Portuguese country speakers could be really input for those countries are trying to make the transition to formality as well. And number 5, yes, number 5. So we, for the care economy, we, in terms of encouraging network between BRICS and Labor Institute, we address, we thought that should be addressed on health, work, and social protection as well. And also we had as an action plan for the core economy. Sorry, I'm just a little bit. No problem. A little bit lost, but I think that was the last.
Yeah, indeed, that was indeed the last one.
Yes. So
thank you, Isabel. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, everybody. I am, as you will see, this is actually going to be the last group work that we will be able to have in this webinar series. What we are committing to do is to, on our side, clean up the slides and make sure that they are all similar and they are all exactly translated into all 3 languages. So all inputs that we have received in the 3 languages are reflected in one document. We will make it available on the platform as well as on the southsouthpoint.net. This brings us to the very end of this 5th webinar of the 7 webinar series. We have only 2 more webinars left, which will both take place in the following week. One will take place on the 7th, which is the Tuesday, and the closing webinar will take place on the 9th. The 6th and 7th webinars will take place, therefore, in the following week. Anita, I pass it over to you for any final words and also for closing so that we move on and liberate everybody. Thank you, everyone, Julia, Yutong, and Anita in particular for facilitating the group works and also for the rapporteurs. Back to you, Anita, for closing. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Snehal. Thanks to all the rapporteurs. There was a great work done, and now we managed to finalize this thanks to your hard work. So I think, as you said, we will clean it up. It was also just to restate this very nice synchronicity that happened, that today we had the China-Brazil session in the day of the 11th ILO China Joint Committee with the adoption of the amendment of the South-South Cooperation Agreement. So that was a very nice synchronicity. And we hope that this BRICS CIS work, and now we see that some interest from CPLP countries as well, thanks to Isabel, will continue. And we'll also like to thank the interpreters, which have the very hard job to be translating for us. And now I think the group work system worked very well, just for us to get used to the new system, but I think that worked excellent. So really thanks to all. I see that the participation level did not fall despite our moving you from groups back and forth. And if you have some burning ideas for the group work, Google Slides, they're still open until like tomorrow, where we're going to finalize them, clean them, and then circulate them to you, because that will be part of our closing session. Share very cool, kind of read them out and have some ideas on way forward. So I think we can consider this session closed, and thanks very much, Snehal, for this co-moderation. Always a pleasure to be with you in such scenarios. Thanks again to the speakers, Yukunzu, Yutong, and John Bosco. And goodbye. So
thank you very much. Thanks, Ariana. Thanks for interpreters. Thanks, Anita, Duncan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.